have a little bit of a hot take on the question, are you a professional? So I wanted to make a video, are you a hack? Are you a tree work professional or are you a hack? Are you a tree hack? And I was doing a storm job, storm damage, and a limb landed on somebody's roof. Now I was getting it off the best way I could. And I started to make this video and I never finished it. But the last few weeks have a little bit been of a roller coaster of emotions, because not long after that job, and I have been slaying it, getting a bunch of big jobs and big estimates, and then I hit this one job. And she said, can you take care of this for me? And I'm looking at it and it looks easy to me. And I'm like, oh yeah. And I bid like super low, like 300 bucks. And she's like, how about 500 and you just be safe? And I'm like, yeah, that's fine. But there was a power line there. And I almost turned down the job because of the power line. But then the more I looked at it, I was like, no, I can do this. I can do this. This is no problem. Until the day of. I drove about an hour there. I climbed up the tree. And as soon as I got up to the top, I was thinking to myself, I don't want to do this. There's almost no drop zone. I can't hit the house. I can't hit the other trees. And I definitely cannot hit the power line. And then I started asking myself, how much can this electricity jump? Because I used to trim for the power lines before, and these are some big lines out in a rural community. So I'm thinking to myself, this is more than I bargained for. This is more than just 500 bucks even. I do not want to do this. Now I'm insured, and if I accidentally hit somebody's house, which I've never done before, okay, so I claim my insurance and everything's okay. But if I accidentally hit a power line, I'm dead. So I came down out of the tree and I said, I'm sorry, I should have never taken this job. I was wrong. I can't do this. And I went home. And it really rattled me, because I even had this concept of, are you a professional? And I fully believe that if you're doing the best that you can, everybody starts from somewhere. Even your experience level, you have to start somewhere. And as long as you're doing the jobs that you're capable of doing, I think that that's good enough. As long as you're trying to be safe, you're trying to follow safety protocols, that you're trying to learn industry standards, that as long as you're moving in the right direction and you're not being reckless or irresponsible, and that you're trying to do things the right way, that's good enough. And if you're making money at it, you're a professional. Until I stumbled across that job. And then I'm thinking, I'm out of my league. Like, what made me think that I could do any of this? And it really kind of played with my head a little bit. I'm thinking, should I even be doing tree work right now? And this is after weeks and weeks of making good money every week. And then I had another job. I already gave them the estimate and it was scheduled, and I went and I did that. And it was a massive oak tree, and I got it down. And I felt pretty good about it. Now, I had to negative rig the top, and it made me a little nervous, and I didn't have a professional person on the ropes. I couldn't let it run. It just slammed into the tree and shook it, and it made me nervous because I never liked to negative rig in the same thing that I'm tied into. And even though it probably could hold it just fine, I don't have the experience to know whether that's true or not. And I rather not risk my life. So it made me really nervous, but it was my only option. So I rigged out the top, and I got this tree all the way down. And there's a couple of things that I could have done differently. I know I left divots in the yard to where we could have roped every little piece. We could have done things. I could have chunked it out into itty bitty baby pieces, but I knew the homeowners. They were okay with what I was doing. I already discussed it with them, and we got it down. And I felt pretty good afterwards. And I'm like, yeah, that's what I'm talking about. That's, you know what? I'm in the right space. But it got me thinking a lot. And there is no right and there is no wrong in many scenarios. There is a good, better, and best. But it doesn't matter whether you're doing tree work, whether you're doing videography, camera work, being a cameraman, whether it does not matter what industry you're in, okay? That there's always going to be a good, better, best, but there's not necessarily one right way. I was watching one little mini documentary about a guy that's a beekeeper. And he started his own business, and because he didn't know the industry standard for being a beekeeper, He completely made his own business model, and he's teaching school kids how to be beekeepers and hands-on experience, and he's kind of going against the regular traditional way of doing things, and he's making a business that's supporting his family, and things are going well. And it works because he didn't know what the industry standard was. And I think in a lot of things, that's just it. And I'm in a lot of Facebook groups, tree groups and videography groups, and watch a lot of YouTube videos, and people say all the time, oh, well, these Harry the hacks, these guys that they don't know what they're doing and they're inexperienced and blah, 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 and they're underbidding us and they're taking all these jobs. All the homeowners think that it's cheap and it's easy. Okay, so on one hand, somebody like me can come in cheaper because I'm a one-man show. I don't have a 3, 4, 5-man crew with a bunch of expensive equipment. So my overhead, I'm not paying for a bunch of insurance. I'm talking like vehicle insurance. I'm not paying for a bunch of man hours. I'm not paying for the skid steer and all that. I'm doing everything by hand. So my cost is just my labor and my time. So if I'm willing to put the time in, yeah, I can charge less. And it's going to take me longer. So when they hire me, because I might be cheaper than the other guy, at the same time of them getting it cheaper, it's going to take longer for me to do it. And if they're not careful, if they do get somebody that's a little bit way more inexperienced and they don't care about doing it right, then they could have property damage on their hands. They could have an insurance claim. And that's kind of at the homeowner's discretion. And then they live and learn. Oops, I shouldn't have done that. But it's all a matter of that. What does the homeowner need and require? Can they afford the expensive guy that is going to take forever to get out there because he's so booked? And videographers are kind of the same way. Yeah, some people are going to outbid you, but then their quality is going to show for it. And either they have good quality and they just have the time to burn and whatever else, and they're going to grow and then they're going to eventually raise their rates, or they just weren't worth it and the people wasted their money and they live and learn and they hire you next time. So I don't think even underbidding your work is a bad thing. But I don't think all these guys, I don't think that they're unprofessional. Now, in my area, I've heard a bunch of stories of cowboys, of guys that are going up with no climbing equipment, that have injured themselves multiple times, that are doing some crazy stuff at really cheap prices, but at the same time, they've been doing it for years and they're good at it and they know what they're doing. I've also heard other guys that barely know what they're doing and they're charging outrageous rates and ripping people off and pretty much exhorting their workers because their workers are doing all the work and they don't have to do anything. They're just owning the company. So I've heard a lot of different stories. And at the end of the day, everybody has to start somewhere. I had a friend of mine. He's since passed away. He had a towing business. And he started humble beginnings with one tow truck. And then he grew from there. All these tree companies that you see around, do you think they started that way? All these camera guys, do you think they started that way? So everybody has to start. And although some things like tree work, I really feel like they should be an apprenticeship. You should be learning from other people. You should be able to work underneath people. I have the advantage of having friends and family that are in the tree business, and I can call them up and ask for advice. But I missed the opportunity of being able to learn because I was only in it for a couple of years and I learned the basics before I went on my own. So I went on my own 7 years after I learned the basics. But then I tried to do things the right way. I think that it is an apprenticeship, but then again, who are you going to go under? Like, who out there do you trust that is trying to follow industry standards and do it right? So anyways, this is a little bit of a rant, I guess. But if you can do it safely, if you can do the job, you're a professional. And you might get rattled a little bit. You might have imposter syndrome and think, what am I doing? What am I getting myself into? You have to push yourself a little bit past your ability in order to grow. And sometimes you don't have the equipment to do it the exact right way. When I did that storm damage job, I think I did it good. For the equipment that I had, for not being able to lift it up with heavy machinery or whatever else, I think that I did it right. But other people might complain. Oh, well, you rubbed the roof a little bit. Oh, you dragged it across the top of the roof. You did this, you did that, which I don't think it did, but it might have a little bit. Didn't cause any extra damage. I think I did it good. But you have to push yourself in order to grow. And you can't beat yourself up because, well, I don't know as much as that guy. Because how many times have I said you got to start somewhere? So in those Facebook groups and stuff, they want to rail on the new guys, on the guys that don't do it exactly the way they do it or charge less. It's better than not doing anything. I've said on this channel more than once, go out there and do something. You can either be a couch potato, just working a factory job somewhere, working a job that you hate, then come home and sit on the couch and do nothing, or you can go out there and you can learn a trade. You can learn a skill. You can learn something that's going to make you money, whether it's cameras, whether it's trees, whether it's landscaping or woodworking, you name it. Construction work. Learn something, figure something out, grow your skills, and put yourself in a better place than what you used to be before. And don't let everybody else tear you down and think, oh, well, he must not be a professional. I mean, it is what it is. There is no right, there is no wrong. There's just a good, better, best. There's different ways, and you get better with experience, but there's no right way to do it. There's no wrong way to do it. I mean, there are codes and stuff like that, but you get what I'm getting at. Everything comes with growth. Are you willing to grow? As long as you're not willing to stay at the bottom, if you're making money doing what you're capable of, if you care about quality and safety, customer relations, you're a professional. Let's get her done. What do you think? Like always, work harder and smarter. Thank you for listening to my rant today. Stay diligent.